Da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. Facts and Friends. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Facts and Friends. Da-na-na-na-na-na. Kevin spitting facts. You are the friends. Da-na-na-na-na-na. You are the friend. I don't have an opening set up yet. Welcome to Facts and Friends, everyone. I am your host, your KevinlyFather, Kevin Williams. This week we're going to watch a little Fox and Friends, and we're going to talk a little facts. We're going to talk facts to Fox and Friends. This is what we're going to do. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see everyone here. Nobody's awake yet, except Marcy. Marcy, it's like 2 a.m. What do you do? Go back to bed. Everyone watching this right now, if you have the ability, if you get the chance, go back to bed. I just got out of bed, as you can see by my dew. What is going on in your crazy world today? Let's discuss. I'm very jerky today. I mean, even more so than usual when I poke people in the eye while they're sneezing. People hate that, but it's so funny. No one has ever laughed. It's weird. I turned on the heat this morning here in sunny Southern California because it's actually cold today. I turned on the heat, but in this studio with the lights and the audience and the judges, it heats up very quickly. So I turned it on a couple of minutes ago, and I'm almost inclined to get up now, leave you guys alone. But I can't leave you guys alone for a minute. I mean, I'm going to come back. There's going to be marking all over the green screen that nobody can see because I gave you guys green crayons. Congratulations, David, on being first. Let's take a look at what the Fox and Friends are saying this morning.
Climate change is on the agenda today. Yes.
It is Climate Change Day. Happy Climate Change Week, everyone. It's just going to be for a day, though.
President Biden is set to unveil more policies.
We're going to hear a lot about an expected ban on new leases for oil and gas drilling.
What would you say to those 11,000 construction workers whose jobs have been destroyed by the stroke of a pen?
Well, most of those 11,000, they don't exist, see? Because construction the pipeline has 35 permanent jobs, and now they're gone. But there are construction jobs. However, people who do construction can also do other construction or other things, for goodness sake. I don't know. I don't want to destroy anyone's job, but there are going to be far more jobs in renewable energy. And that doesn't increase our reliance on foreign countries like Canada. Canada's a foreign nation. I know. I'm a bi-citizen. Dual citizen. Unless he's cute and has a lot of money. Anyway.
Climate change is a threat to all of us. We will make sure that you have jobs.
The problem is the people that are losing their jobs right now. How far out are those cleaner energy jobs?
His economic plans put equity.
That's an excellent question. How far out are those clean energy jobs? Well, they're growing at a rate of more than 100% per year. So hopefully not far at all. And the government, you would think the government would be happy to pass any sort of plan that helped the people who were unemployed. Remember back at the beginning, after taking what did it take, like 4 months for me to finally get my unemployment? Because my industry completely shut down. I finally got my unemployment with my extra $600 per week, which was a godsend because I was able to still live. I had moved out of my apartment with my daughter already. Because as soon as the pandemic hit, I took a look at things and said, like, oh, this is not... People are like, oh, yeah, a month or two. Like, a month? How can you do anything without a vaccine? So I said, to remain in LA and spend this kind of money on an apartment is pointless. We cannot sustain that. We would be bankrupt by now. We would be bankrupt. We would be one of millions of Americans who are, I think the average was $5,600 behind in rent. I heard that stat yesterday. I'm not sure where the stat comes from. It could have been in my dream. I have no idea. But the bottom line is I think it's 20 million Americans, 20 million Americans, but I wonder if that's 20 million households. I don't know. Anyway, someone could look it up. Let's get back to Fox and Friends.
the heart of our recovery.
Before any of that happens, the rest of us deserve a clear explanation. Who's getting rewarded, who's getting punished, and why?
A federal judge dealt a blow to the...
Tucker Carlson is also, we should call him Tucker Confusion. Because but if the door is closed, who closed that door? And why? Well, because we turned the heat on and we wanted to keep the heat in the studio. And it's better than just, because the house is, you don't want to heat the whole, you just want to heat that one room with the space heater. But why? But why won't the video play? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Biden administration's 100-day freeze on deportation.
Telling the Biden administration they can't do this right now because they had not given enough concrete evidence.
Well, here's the thing. So Canada pretty much is the same country, but just better, right? You take the 49th parallel, and it's just better. Because you don't have all these guns, and people are nice and polite, and there's no garbage. I mean, there are in some sections. Calgary, essentially the entire city of Calgary is just a garbage pile. But it is not. Actually, Calgary's a lovely city. But I'm from Edmonton, so I'm legally obligated to trash them. The thing is, you've got the same people saying, you can't take away the Keystone XL pipeline. They're the ones that are screaming, we're energy independent. We're not, by the way, but we're energy independent. And we can't, it's foreign oil, we can't. Okay, but Canada also is not America.
Unveiling a community-driven approach, they say, to fight misleading information.
What would Birdwatch do with Russia collusion? For years that story ran. That's one of the biggest disinformation.
Oh, that's that. They just cut her off in the middle of that. I don't know what kind of editing that was, but there you go. Okay, hold on. We're going to skip ahead past this song because I don't want to get a copyright strike for that.
Alexa, wake up that family.
Shut up.
Her memory loss. It's good to play back what I actually did and how I lived. It's good to know there's somebody else in the house sometimes who are listening in.
So I'm not sure what's going on with the Fox lineup because last week Brian Kilmeade was hosting the 4 p.m. hour. I'll use Eastern time. He was hosting the 7 p.m. hour. It was Brian, and then it was Tucker Confusion, Hannity, TV Karen, and that was their evening lineup. And Brian was also on in the morning. So it was essentially Fox and Friends was the entire day. They used to have Shep Smith at noon or 3 p.m. Eastern doing actual news. Now he's moved over to CNBC, thank God.
Examining what I want. Well, and it's just amazing.
Oh, and Maria Bartiromo, I think, is hosting the 7 p.m. hour. I don't even know because I didn't bother to check yesterday.
That, like, when you talk about something, it appears in your iPad the next day.
Don't name your daughter Alexa now, because then
I feel so bad for people.
I think you can change the name on the device. If you
I don't know if you can. Can anyone? Alexa, change your name to Samovar. Let me know out there if anybody's Alexa responded.
That situation.
Because now Brian's daughter Siri feels like Anyway, thank you very much for joining us.
It's a good joke. But also, you're not supposed to say those names. Like, if someone was just say, like, Alexa, turn off all the lights. Or Alexa, play It's Raining Men. You know what? Because somebody might have that. Or you're not supposed to do... Siri, lock my phone permanently. You don't say that over a television broadcast, because somebody's Siri might actually...
It's already Wednesday, a busy week. And listen to this. This is big news overnight. A federal judge has temporarily blocked the Biden administration's 100-day pause on deportations.
The ruling delivering a blow to one of the administration's first actions.
Oh, I didn't even know about that. Hold on a second here. Let's go back here and see what this is all about.
Wednesday, a busy week. And listen to this. This is big news overnight. A federal judge has temporarily blocked the Biden administration's 100-day pause on deportations.
The ruling delivering a blow to one of the administration's first actions on immigration.
And you can see we paused the Joe Biden video to reflect the story. Griff Jenkins joins us live from Washington as the Justice Department rolls back the Trump administration's zero-tolerance immigration rule. Griff, did you prepare a report?
I did indeed. Good morning, Brian Ainsley and Steve. And Ainsley,
what?
Point out that it's a blow to the president's executive actions. It's the first to any of the many that he's issued. And what this does is it suspends the administration's 100-day moratorium on deportations that was laid out in a January 20th memo on Inauguration Day. A Texas federal judge, Drew Tipton, agreeing with Texas's Attorney General Ken Paxton, who was seeking a temporary restraining order because he claims the moratorium could cause, quote, imminent and irreparable harm to the state. Judge Tipton writes, the administration, quote, fails to consider potential policies more limited in scope and time, but it also fails to provide any concrete, reasonable justification for a 100-day pause on deportations. The White House is responding, issuing this statement saying, we are confident that as the case proceeds.
That's a valid point. I do not like blanket laws. This is not even a law, it's an executive order, but I don't like nobody's getting deported for 100 days. Nobody. You can stop, for example, child separation policy, which is what the Biden executive orders has already done. But to just say nobody gets deported. Well, what if somebody really bad actually needs to get deported right now? All right, now we got to wait another 100 days. That's hard to say. This will probably get overruled somewhere along the lines because the president isn't. It's the president's purview to do that.
It will be clear that this measure was wholly appropriate in ordering a temporary.
Amanda wants to know if anybody watched the sunset this morning. I thought it was sunrise. That's what she said. Anybody want to watch the sun? Did anybody watch the sunset yesterday? So let's just talk. Let's just talk about the sun. Happens every morning, by the way.
Pause to allow the.
I don't know if Amanda's ever been awake early enough to watch the sunrise before.
Agency to carefully review its policies, procedures, and enforcement priorities while allowing for a greater focus on threats to public safety and national security. Now, this injunction is effective for 14 days as the administration determines their next course of action. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice.
Oh, it's just a 14-day injunction. So 2 weeks. You got to take a look at what you've done and think about it. Go to your room.
Not commenting on this deportation pause ruling, but they have rescinded the Trump administration's executive action that established the zero tolerance policy towards all migrants illegally crossing the border. It applied equally across all cases, whether it be individuals or families. Well, now the acting attorney general Monty Wilkinson says the new policy instructs prosecutors to act on the merits of individual cases. We could hear more on this by Friday when the administration's daily theme of action will be immigration. Brian, Ainsley, Steve?
It will indeed. All right, Griff, thank you very much. The lawsuit.
By the way, if you just noticed, the crawl right over here just changed. We, on Inauguration Day, so 1 week ago today, this number in red that keeps circulating, 435,823, that's the number of American dead from the coronavirus. On Inauguration Day, 1 week ago today, it was 412. Today it's 435. Just FYI. In a week.
It was brought by the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton. He celebrated this as a victory on Twitter and declared Texas the first state in the union, he said, to bring a lawsuit against the Biden administration, and we won. And as Griff just
for 14 days, woo!
Said today's going to be Climate Day. We heard from the president that he's got those 4 crises he's working on. He's working on race.
And when is Biden not talking about the climate? That was the question yesterday from Brian Kilmeade. Oh, Thursday and Friday. Okay.
He's working on coronavirus. He's working on economy. And today, Ainsley, he's working on the climate. The big
and probably also the coronavirus and the economy.
Idea is to move away from oil and gas. Unfortunately, there are millions of people in the country who have jobs tied to oil and gas.
That's the thing, because Republicans, they penned this letter just saying you have to think about the jobs. You sign your name on that executive order, and it affects thousands of jobs. They said in their letter to Joe Biden, they said...
Okay, well, Ducey said millions. So.
Studies show it's going to have a damaging effect up and down the energy supply chain. They said it's going to cut 1 million jobs, decrease the GDP by $700 billion, and require us to import 2 million barrels per day, which will weaken the U.S. energy and national security and increase our trade deficit. And then we'll also be dependent on energy from other countries.
Yeah, so we're going to lose 2 million.
Which we are right now. We still import oil from other countries. We are not energy independent. We are the world's largest producer of oil and gas. But that doesn't mean we're still not bringing oil in. We do. And it's a strange commodity. Oil that could be used here is shipped somewhere else. Oil that is bought into the United States is put into the strategic reserve. It's just wacky.
In barrels of oil exported on a daily basis. So in other words, if you find your...
According to the American petroleum industry, which isn't known for being the most impartial of sources, it's an oil and gas lobby. 9.8 million jobs are what the oil and gas industry supports. Those aren't just oil and gas industry jobs. Those are, for example, a restaurant locally in an oil town. That's counted, which is fair.
Yourself energy independent and feel good about one part of our economy, you no longer feel good about that because of political correctness and a push to green energy we're clearly not ready to have. Can you imagine George Bush, I remember, ran as an education president who wanted to quickly do immigration reform. But after 9/11 happened, he had to change because we're in the middle of a war on terror, arguably.
And according to the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that's the government, as of December, you were looking at 163,000 jobs. So 9.8 million, according to the industry itself. And according to the government, the actual people employed by the industry, 163,000. Let's make it 164,000 to be accurate.
We were still in the middle of. Now, to me, that's what a leader does. You have intentions, but you got to react to the marketplace. Right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic with 7% unemployment. It's likely much higher. We are a situation where we cannot get small business standing up again because of this disease. We can't get vaccines in everyone's arms because of execution with states. You would think this would not be the time to sign 37 executive orders. It's probably more, because the 37, they stopped counting executive orders on the 21st. I think it's like the 25th, the 27th now. So this is really problematic.
He can read a calendar. Honestly, if you ask me, I wouldn't know what date it was.
And it shows a lack of leadership, more ideology than it is about leading a country.
It's interesting. The president...
all of what he said there just doesn't apply to what we would call sense. Yeah, you have an ideology and you get to make executive orders. That's how the system works. And because you're the president, you're leading the country. By definition, that's how he's the executive, Brian. It's okay. He won the election, and elections have consequences. And when you elect Joe Biden, there are positive consequences. And that's nice. There are also negative consequences. There always are.
Pick to run the Department of Commerce is a woman by the name of Gina Raimondo. She is the governor of the great state of Rhode Island. She was also a venture capitalist. She's a Rhodes Scholar. She went to Yale Law School. She's got a very impressive...
Wait, is she a Rhodes Scholar or a Rhode Island Scholar?
...impressive resume. She knows exactly what this Keystone thing would do to jobs. She knows that. But at the same time, her boss wants her to do something about the climate crisis. And so yesterday, she was being grilled by Ted Cruz, and they had some back and forth, and you can understand where both sides are coming from. Listen to this.
Yes.
Last week, President Biden signed an executive order canceling the Keystone Pipeline, destroying 11,000 jobs, including 8,000 union jobs. If you were confirmed as Secretary of Commerce, what would you say to those 11,000 construction workers whose jobs have been destroyed by the stroke of a pen?
I would say we're going to get you to work. I would say that climate change is a threat to all of us. And that we will make sure that you have jobs, that you have the skills you need to have a job. And by the way, as we meet the needs of climate change, there will be many more jobs created, good paying jobs, union jobs. And should I be the Commerce Secretary, I will fight every single day for every American to have a decent paying job and a chance to compete.
All right. Also, because today is Climate Day, we thought we would tell you one of the things she said yesterday regarding that. She said, I know that the climate crisis poses an existential threat to our economy, and we must meet this challenge by creating millions of good union jobs. We just heard her say that a moment ago. By creating millions of good union jobs that power a more sustainable economy. The question is, where will these jobs come from?
They don't exist.
People like Bo Copley, a West Virginia coal miner who was on the channel about 90 minutes ago. Listen.
They say they want us to move toward a cleaner future and a cleaner type of energy, but the problem is the people that are losing their jobs right now. How far out are those cleaner energy jobs, and is it the same skill set? Is it something that people are going to be able to go directly into, and how long will it be before they're able to? Take a walk in someone like myself's shoes, someone who's been faced with
the coal miners are getting screwed. Remember how Trump promised to bring the coal industry back? He didn't. They lost jobs during the Trump administration. It's just simple economics. The demand for coal goes down as natural gas and renewable energy replace it because they're much, much cheaper. Has very little to do with them being clean. It's about how can the corporations make the most profit. Coal is not profitable because it is a serious hassle to get it out of the ground. Now they just blow up mountaintops. The other thing, of course, even within the production of coal, they keep eliminating jobs because it's easier and easier for machines to do the jobs that people were doing. Let's watch a little bit of Ted Cruz berating Gina Raimondo, the new Secretary of Commerce.
Welcome. In recent years,
let's turn him up a little bit here. The last thing you want to do is turn up Ted Cruz. As long as you're not turning on Ted Cruz, I think we're okay here.
Years, the United States has successfully used economic pressure to prevent the People's Republic of China from exploiting American technology to carry out human rights abuses. This is an area the previous administration was particularly active in. Governor, should you be confirmed, can you please describe the role you envision for the Department of Commerce in these efforts, especially as that role relates to export and import controls?
And Ruth Ann makes a good point there. Coal miners are getting screwed, but the writing has been on the wall about the coal industry for decades. Yeah, but what about the horse and buggiers? They're just going to die. We have to protect the horse and buggy industry. If we allow these automobiles to so-called drive on our streets, can you imagine?
Yes, thank you. So, as I said earlier, China's actions have been anti-competitive, hurtful to American workers and businesses, coercive, and as you point out, they're culpable for atrocious human rights abuses. So, whether it's the entities list or tariffs or countervailing duties, I intend to use all those tools to the fullest extent possible to level the playing field for the American worker. I believe in free trade, but fair trade. Americans can compete if the rules are fair and the playing field is level. And I believe my job, should I be confirmed.
That's okay, fine. You can say that, but it's nonsense. The playing field can't be level in a country where people are making 30 cents an hour or $5 a day or whatever it is. It just can't. When you're talking about good paying jobs, for example, the average job in the oil and gas industry is $38.03 an hour. That's not bad. That is nothing to shake your stick at.
Is to increase the competitiveness for the American worker and companies, especially small businesses. President Biden has said that we're going to step back and have a whole of government approach as it relates to the threat of China. And
the next time someone says whole of government to me, I'm going to punch him in the face because there's no such thing. It's just become a buzz phrase and I hate it and it's stupid. It doesn't mean anything. Yes, you're going to concentrate. I get that. Whole of government.
Of course, I will play my role on that team.
Well, as you noted, the Department of Commerce maintains the entity list, which is foreign parties that engage in activities contrary to U.S. national security. And in 2019, I led an effort to add to that list companies the Chinese Communist Party has used to carry out their surveillance campaigns of Uyghurs.
Ted always has to brag about something that he's done.
And other oppressive activities. And I introduced legislation mandating that some of those companies be listed, the Tiananmen Act. And in the fall of 2019 and in 2020, the Trump administration did so, adding batches of Chinese technology companies to the entities list. Can you commit, if confirmed, that those companies will remain on the BIS entities list?
I will commit to working with you on that, and I certainly agree with you that the entities list is a powerful tool in the Commerce Secretary's toolkit to shore up American national security.
Well, let me ask about Huawei in particular. Can you commit that Huawei will remain on the list?
I will commit that once, should I be confirmed and I am there, I will review the policy, consult with you, consult with industry, consult with our allies.
So no, just stop saying you can commit to things if you're not saying you're going to commit to things. I will commit to giving it some thought.
And make an assessment as to what's best for American national and economic security.
Well, I will say there's chatter in Washington that the Biden administration is contemplating going easy on China and removing companies from the entities list. I certainly hope that does not happen, because I think that would be profoundly contrary to the national security interest of the United States. The Department of Commerce's mandate and its mission is to create conditions for economic growth and opportunity. The Department of Commerce's job is to advocate for commerce, to advocate for jobs.
Is it? Did anyone else know that? That the Department of Commerce they were supposed to enable commerce? Wow, we learned so much from Ted Cruz.
Will say I am certainly concerned that in the Biden administration, the Commerce Department will not have that as its priority. President Biden has named you as a member of the interagency working group on the social cost of greenhouse gases. In what federal statute does the Department of Commerce find legal authority to promulgate rules concerning greenhouse gases?
That is a question I am not certain of, but I will tell you that if President Biden asks me to serve on his...
They're part of the executive branch. The executive gets to decide what they do. That's how the rules work. He was elected by the people of the United States.
Team in a capacity to help American workers compete or to fight climate change.
I mean, greenhouse gases are part of commerce. But okay.
Then I obviously will be a key player on that team.
It's a simple majority, 51.
So, Governor, you're
well, almost all the votes are a simple majority, but the Senate still has the filibuster. So theoretically, 60 votes. Although this is during reconciliation, but it's not a budgetary item, so somebody could filibuster them. But yeah, it's very rare that cabinet level are actually rejected. That's not very rare. It's rare. It happens. But it has to be something aberrational, because the next president coming in might be Republican or whatever, Patriot Party. For example, Trump might come back and be a Patriot Party president. And this is stuff where there's a certain amount of give and take. Unless absolutely outrageous, the appointees usually get pushed through.
Your current job...
Oh, by the way, this is just sub-cabinet levels right now.
As governor of Rhode Island, as you know...
Subcommittee.
In 2019, CNBC did its annual rankings of the states that are friendly to business, and the state of Rhode Island came out 50th, dead last, the worst state in the union for businesses. Given that record, how are the American people, what reassurances can you give the American people that your performance at Commerce would be better than the state of Rhode Island has done in terms of creating an environment where jobs are plentiful?
Reconciliation is the period at the beginning of a Senate Senate, what is it called? It's too early for me to even think of words. Reconciliation is when you first become a Senate, a Congress, for the first 60, 90, or however many days they decide, because it's the Senate, they can just make up their own rules. During that period, you can pass budgetary items at 50 votes. There's no filibuster during that time, so you don't have to worry about getting 60 votes to pass stuff just to kind of get things going. And both parties agree to it, and that's the way it works. And it's supposed to be limited to budget stuff primarily, but other stuff can get snuck in there. So it's just pre-filibuster, which should always be the way it is in the Senate. But that's just what it is. It's called reconciliation to sort of, oh, the budget's coming. We got to fix that. 50 votes, move it on. The business of the country, really.
When I ran for governor, Rhode Island had the highest.
I know it's session, but I wanted to come up with something. There is a different word, a cohort or a whatever.
Unemployment rate in the country. And just prior to COVID, we had the lowest unemployment rate in our state's history and the most jobs in our state's history. When I ran, we were 50 out of 50 on Business Insider's ranking, and a couple years into my term, we were 26th. So my record is clear that we have created thousands of jobs for the people of Rhode Island, and I would look forward to fighting for the American worker should I be confirmed.
Okay, and final question, should you be confirmed? Last week, President Biden signed an...
What did Ted say, though? Did he say during your term you were 50th? At the beginning, yeah, before I was elected.
Executive order canceling the Keystone Pipeline.
I could fact check that, but I don't care.
Destroying 11,000 jobs, including 8,000 union jobs. If you were confirmed as Secretary of Commerce, what would you say to those 11,000 construction workers whose jobs have been destroyed by the stroke of a pen, and what would you say to them?
I would say we're going to get you to work. I would say that climate change is a threat to all of us, and that we will make sure that you have jobs, that you have the skills you need to have a job. And by the way, as we meet the needs of climate change, there will be many more jobs created, good paying jobs, union jobs. And should I be the Commerce Secretary, I will fight every single day for every American to have a decent paying job and a chance to compete.
Okay. Amanda Joliet asked if Rhode Island is the last for business. It's not anymore, by the way. What are the top states? This is according to Forbes.com. They rank based on business costs, labor supply, in other words, how many people are available to do your work, because you got to have labor, your regulatory environment, the fewer laws against... The fewer laws make it difficult to do business, the better. Economic climate rank. How difficult is it to maintain in that economic climate, the growth prospects, and the quality of life ranks? The best state. Well, let's do top 10, counting backwards. Top 10, Idaho. But you got to live in Idaho. Number 9, Colorado. And Colorado's not too bad to live in. Number 8, Washington. And Washington is lovely to live in, as long as you're near Seattle. If you're over in eastern Washington, it's called the Palouse. Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Virginia. Number 3 is Utah. But you got to live in Utah. I've spent a little bit of time in Utah. Park City is outrageously expensive. And the rest of Utah, good luck getting any service. That's all I can say about Utah. Lovely, lovely people, though. God bless America. Number 2 is Texas. They rank number 1 in growth prospects. So, and number 1, the best place to do business in the United States, North Carolina. North Carolina is hands-off when it comes to regulatory stuff with the government. They're just like, do whatever you want to do. We don't care. They're number 1 in the regulatory environment. Business costs number 4 for North Carolina, and that puts them up at labor supply is number 9, and somehow they ended up getting ranked number 1. So that answers that question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Chris. Senator Markey, we have...
Interesting, though, North Carolina right now, the kind of a mix. It's a purple state, Texas, red state, Utah, red state, Virginia, blue state, Florida, red state, Georgia, blue state. Actually, it's a red state, but federal offices, Senate, and president now, of course, Georgia went completely blue. But in the House, it's a mixture. Tennessee, red state, Washington, blue state, Colorado, blue state, Idaho, red state. So there's really no, whether the Democrats or the Republicans are in charge, doesn't really make that much of a difference in terms of commerce.
I've heard an awful lot from New England already today.
But if you listen to the GOP, they would claim that all of the major states, they're red states because the Republicans are so good with the economy. According to Forbes, not so true.
Would you like to just yield back your time?
Well, this is It's a great day, Mr.
By the way, there's a couple of very, very red states down at the bottom. Number 49, West Virginia, very red. Number 50, Alaska. The worst place to do business. Labor supply's got to be terrible. Let's see, it's ranked 50th in both quality of life. Whoever wrote the list does not like snow. And economic climate. Alaska's 50th in both. And I get that, though, because everything is so expensive in Alaska. I mean, they're not really part of the United States. I'm sorry, Alaska, but even your panhandle doesn't even get close to the United States. Just call yourself Canada. Your life will improve so much. There'll be more hockey. Where's Hawaii? Hawaii is sitting in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, like way out there. Marcy.
Mr. Chairman, the Bay State and the Ocean State, we agree on a lot of issues, and we're small.
Hawaii is 47th on the list. Hawaii does not rank well in, let's see, they are 50th overall in business costs. So if you live in Hawaii, you know how expensive everything is, especially rent and or electricity. Electricity is insane in Hawaii. So if you live there, you understand.
All in numbers, but
and you can't even get Amazon Prime. Everything takes forever to get, and it costs more because you got to ship it there. Hawaii is part of the United States only because I don't want to use a passport. I don't want to bring my passport when I go to Hawaii. So it's another world, but you don't have to bring your passport. Antarctica is 78th.
We're mighty on policies, and Governor Raimondo is a perfect example of someone who is just an incredible leader on...
Okay, now that's a Democrat, so that's enough of that. Let's go back to the Fox and Friends, see what they're up to.
Those kind of...
We were talking about the best places to do business. We were talking about Ted Cruz, and now we're back with the coal miner who lost his job, which is terrible. Good morning, Producer Joanna. Good to see you. Producer Joanna, you missed it, but at the beginning of the broadcast, you're on the West Coast. I said if you have the opportunity today, go back to bed. Enjoy yourself. Relax.
Ramifications to those thousands of jobs that are, it may just be 1,000 here, it may just be 1,000 there, but for me, it's a family of 5. It's devastating to see this happen to American workers.
So this is the guy that, remember he pushed the picture over to Hillary Clinton while she was sitting? Yep. Here's the picture. And he said, look at my family. Look at the eyes of my children. You're taking away clothing. You're taking away their food when you take away my job.
Yeah. So that is
feel terrible for the guy. You've been in an industry for X number of generations or whatever the case is, and your job is going away eventually it's going away. It's not going to disappear right away. And the 11,000 Keystone Pipeline jobs, those jobs don't actually exist yet. So no one's really losing those jobs. Those jobs are just not going to be created.
About real jobs and real people, we thought we'd bring it up close and personal rather than here at 11,000, 5,000 border people.
Can I throw in one more thing? So they're saying we will have jobs once we figure out how to do this environmentally friendly track. But if you're trained as a journalist, can you just go get a job working in a completely different...
Well, if you're trained as a journalist, no, you cannot. And why did you do that to yourself? And she indicates Brian as she says journalist. Please. No, but if you're trained as a welder, there are other things to weld. If you're trained as a guy that hammers things together, or a carpenter, then yeah, there are lots of things to carpent.
Or different field. I mean,
people have to be retrained, or like the guy we had yesterday who said, "Look, in my town, down in Louisiana, if I don't work in oil and gas, I'm going to work at the Walmart." But the Walmart already has their staff.
And what if you're 60? You're close to retirement.
Yeah, and sometimes people have to move in order to go to places where there's jobs. There's still lots of oil jobs in the United States. And there were, before the pandemic, there were many open positions. There were 7 million open jobs. 11,000 workers just lost their jobs they didn't have, but there were 7 million open jobs. I'll see actually how many open jobs there are right now.
Retirement. Do you think someone else is going to hire you and retrain you?
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, that tweet, Joe Biden said two things that really stood out of the campaign trail. He didn't campaign much. One was, why don't cops shoot people in the leg, which anytime you talk to law enforcement, they say you never shoot. You have to shoot for the greatest mass. Number two,
as of December 1st, there were 6.5 million open jobs in the United States. 6.5 million. Okay, this is 6.5 million. This is 11,000. I'm not even using my hand, by the way. It would be on the floor in terms of how graphs look. Yeah, it's about training. And if the government supplies, remember, Donald Trump used to give Ivanka credit for creating 15 million jobs. All she was doing was saying, let's train these people. And it's great when companies decide, yeah, we're going to train the workers. There are 6.5 million available jobs out there. And you may not be trained to do all of them, etc. But opening up immigration helps those jobs get filled. It helps business. That helps the economy. The money gets circulated around. That's all positive. But yeah, even after the pandemic, there's still 6. Now, we have 10, 20, whatever million unemployed right now. You've got the number of unemployed. You got people that have stopped looking, etc. And no one's really sure exactly what that number is because there's the U6 and then there's the... And you got 6.5 million jobs, a lot of them in high tech. And now, how long does it take to get trained in high tech? Well, my son went through 12 weeks of intensive training to learn how to code, and he's really good at it. But honestly, coding is not that difficult. But after 12 weeks, he walked into a 6-figure job a week later. Demand is out there. That guy seemed reasonably bright. The guy who slid the picture over to Hillary Clinton, God bless him. Let's train you. Let's not make it 12 weeks. That's 3 months. Let's make it 6 months worth of training. We'll pay for it. Government's taking care of it. And the government's already doing this. Todd Subler says, I can't get a job as an unfinished sentence. That entire sentence is, I can't get a job that I want to do. You know, Todd, I agree with that for the most part. But I also think that most Americans should have a job that they want to do. But then again, there's a whole bunch of jobs that nobody wants to do. Maybe that guy particularly enjoyed being a coal miner. I don't know. That would be ideal if everyone had a job that they want to do. But there's a ton of jobs that nobody wants to do. But you do it. I don't want to be sitting in the morning, waking up, getting my coffee, and then watching TV and talking to a bunch of idiots. You think I enjoy... Oh, I should probably... I mean, I do want to do that. This is how I choose to live my life, watching the sun set in the morning. Good morning, Todd, by the way. Way to dump on America.
Said, too, we got to get some of these coal miners to learn to code. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I just said. He did, and he said it's fantastic. Judges, it's true.
Maybe they don't want to. Maybe.
They don't want to make more money and not have to go down into the caverns and risk getting trapped out. Oh, they hate Mountain Dew. That's fair, actually. Judges agree. If you don't like Mountain Dew, you're not gonna be good at coding.
They chose a different living, and I don't really know if one goes with the other. Meanwhile, another interesting approach to an economic crisis and a pandemic. Let's focus on racial, not equality, but equity. Listen.
Oh, because you can't do anything else where there's a pandemic. I see. Governments are incapable of doing two things at once. I get it. So let's only focus on the pandemic now, the way Trump did. See this number here? 435,000. Let's round it up to the nearest 436,000, shall we? Because it's 8. 436,000 dead. But we can't talk about racism right now. What the hell, people?
Listen to Joe Biden later, Susan Rice first. She's the domestic policy advisor. So it's Biden first, then Rice. Let's listen.
The simple truth is, our soul will be troubled as long as systemic racism is allowed to persist. We can't eliminate everything, but it's corrosive, it's destructive, and it's costly. We are not just a nation of morally deprived because of systemic racism. we're also less prosperous. We're less successful. We're less secure.
His economic plans make historic investments in underserved communities and put equity at the heart of our recovery. Investing in equity is good for economic growth, and it creates jobs for all Americans. That starts with a review of policies and institutions to redress systemic racism where it exists and to advance equity where we aren't doing enough.
All right, I have no idea what that means. Talks in such generalities. You have no idea what's going to hit you, except for it's going to.
Does anybody else not understand what she's talking about? Even if you tuned out completely, even if you're watching MSNBC right now, how is that difficult to understand? Let's try and do what we can to stop racism in our policies. How about that? I don't know what she's talking about.
Be a lot of money, and it's going to flow into people that they believe need money. Okay, I thought that was
okay.
It's called American People, number one. Number two, they have a great program where they incentivize financial institutions to invest in underprivileged neighborhoods, so it becomes a win-win wherever you go. That was, if you looked at some of the stats, that laid the foundation for the success. It was led by Tim Scott, signed on by President Trump, but because I guess it's Republican, that's an issue. There are so many questions to yesterday's generic statements, but just look out for the bill. It is coming.
Well, and in fact, we know what they're going to do today regarding climate, and it actually involves race, which is what she was talking about yesterday. Among other things, with this executive order, what they're going to do is it's going to, the administration will direct the U.S. government to invest in low-income and minority communities, which are traditionally impacted by pollution, and improve the conditions in Black, Hispanic, and Native American communities. Listen, I'm getting to it, Brian. To improve the lives in these communities that are targeted for hazards that others did not want. For instance, the people who live in neighborhoods with power plants or landfills or trash incinerators, shipping ports, and factories. Because ultimately, they say there is poor air quality there. You'll wind up with respiratory problems. You wind up with heart problems. You wind up with COVID. So that is what is going to be unveiled later today.
So they're going to move people away from power plants? What? So we're going to get a moving truck?
They're going to give them more money, those communities more money. And look, the critics are arguing the American...
Or clean up the sites. And yes, you can move a landfill, for example. You can shut it down and you can move it somewhere away from a population. But yes, historically in the United States, there is a caste system. That's producer Joanna likes to call it that. The location of all those dangerous elements that a society needs, theoretically. The windmills, for example, all the cancer. If you look around where the windmills are, Cancer Alley, specifically Holland. They're wind turbines, by the way, turbines.
Dream is equal opportunities. Everyone wants to have...
Not equal, equity.
They're not milling anything.
Well, equal opportunities, but equity is equal outcomes. So we all want equality, but the question is, do you want equal outcomes? So if you make $20 and you make 10, you give him 5, so you both make 15.
That's not what... It's not what anyone is asking for, but okay.
This is what Tucker Carlson says.
Yeah, okay.
They make a big noise when they go around. Bong, bong, bong. They should stop. They should stop attaching gongs to the wind turbines. That's the problem, I think. If they didn't attach giant gongs, giant 48-foot gongs, they wouldn't hit it every time they went around and say bong, bong.
The federal government is, above all, an enormous printing press. It manufactures U.S. currency. It dispenses
that is not what it is, above all.
Trillions of dollars every year.
Yeah. Yeah, they print money. That's part of what... Okay.
According to Rice, much of that money will now be distributed on the basis of equity. That means it will go to people who do not possess, quote, privilege. So let's get very specific about what that means.
Okay.
What precisely is privilege? Can privilege be measured? If so, how exactly are we measuring it? Can we see the privilege formula? We should see it, because a huge amount turns on the definition of this word. Some Americans won't get jobs because it's been decided they have too much privilege. Others won't get into college or get promoted or win federal contracts. Others will see their neighborhoods change dramatically in ways they may not like because of their privilege. They'll tell you that's not true.
So the guy who's the heir to fortunes, it's privilege.
But it is true. And before any of that happens, the rest of us deserve a clear explanation of what's going on.
Yeah.
Who's getting rewarded, who's getting punished, and why.
Exactly. What the heck?
Punished?
Heck are you talking about? Get specific. How could people not ask those questions? How could they not be around to submit those the program? And as Ben Carson says, he thinks, I think this whole thing is quite.
Marcy says Fremont, California has a new condo complex built on a dump site. The buyers have to agree not to plant or eat anything from the ground. The units start in the low 800,000s. That's a bargain. That's a bargain for California.
Quite shameful. And in fact, race relationships have deteriorated. Why? Because of the great emphasis trying to create white guilt and black victimhood. These are two bad things. And
that's why the white supremacists are, because they've been told to be guilty. That's why the white supremacists are so upset.
When you put them together, it results in some policies that absolutely make no sense. And he's not only a brain surgeon who came from nothing and achieved everything, he is just out of HUD. And he sat there in the most depressed of communities.
Oh, that's what happened to Ben Carson.
One of which was his growing up with a mom that was illiterate, with two sons. One became a lawyer, one became a brain surgeon. Right. So he knows about obstacles. And unfortunately, in a time in which we are in a crisis, by just looking at Joe Biden's words, it's hard to believe that these programs are a priority, and there is no consensus. Mr. Unity, no consensus. Meanwhile, Carly Shimkus, it's under our consensus that we toss to you to
a GOP unity, their idea of unifying is you win the election and then you do what we want. That's what they think is going to happen. It's not what unity is. It is what unity is, but that's not the unity anybody's talking about. The unity is, we won the election, you're welcome to come along with the will of the people. We would love to have you. Rather than trying to make things difficult and blocking everything, let's work together. Let's compromise a little bit and make this work. But we're not doing things exactly how you want to do them.
tell us what else is happening.
Okay, we'll hit the news of the day. We'll check just to see if there's anybody we really need to see, and then we'll wrap it up for this morning.
Thank you so much, and good morning. We're going to start things here with a Fox News alert. Overnight, an NYPD officer is shot in the back. The plainclothes officer was approaching an armed man when he was struck below his bulletproof vest in the Bronx.
Tonight we saw extraordinary bravery. Extraordinary bravery. The officer, thank God, despite the pain he's in, he was in good spirits. Thank God, it looks like he's going to make a very strong recovery.
The 31-year-old officer fired back, striking the suspect, who is now in custody. It comes after an hours-long manhunt ends overnight in Texas for the suspect accused of shooting a deputy. Authorities arresting Moises Martinez, the injured deputy, is expected to make a full recovery. All but 5 Senate Republicans vote in favor of dropping the second impeachment trial of former President Trump. 45 GOP senators, including Mitch McConnell, vote that the trial is unconstitutional.
It is not. It's now been determined twice that it is constitutional.
Because Trump is no longer in office. It signals that there won't be enough votes to convict the former president because 17 Republican votes are needed. The president is accused of inciting an insurrection at the Capitol earlier this month. Senators Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Mitt Romney, Ben Sasse, and Pat Toomey were the only Republicans to side with Democrats to proceed with an impeachment trial.
Don't even want to do the trial. Don't even want to, even though it's been done before. Here's the thing. Let's say that Joe Biden is in office for a number of years, 4 years. Let's just say he decides after 4 years, I'm hanging it up. I want to retire. I want to enjoy myself. If after Joe leaves office, it's discovered that he was working with China and in the pocket of China the entire time, and that many U.S. policies were made, and Joe Biden says, you know what? I think I'd like to run again. I think I'd like to, when I'm 86, I might decide I want to run again. 84, I might decide I want to run again. How about that? Of course, impeachment was set up to take care of that issue. Let's say that we found out that Trump was in the pocket of Putin. If Putin comes out and says, yes, the whole time President Trump was doing exactly what I wanted him to do. What do you do about that? Nothing. Trump can run again, and the idiots can put Trump back into office. Doesn't matter what the American people says. Doesn't matter what the Electoral College says. So we've got this naturally gerrymandered election of the United States, and Trump goes back and no. The founding fathers wanted to avoid that. That's why impeachment exists, and it doesn't matter whether you're in office or not in office. And there are Republicans now said, well, we can just impeach Obama. Go for it. Because guess what? Obama is not going to run for president again. But hey, rock on, Kennedy. Somebody asked a question about, okay, somebody DM'd me. I'll look that up. Here we go.
On to extreme weather here. At least one person is killed and 30 others hurt after an EF2 tornado tears through Alabama. The twister, with winds up to 135 miles per hour, flattening homes in Fultondale, scattering debris so high it showed up on radar. Take a look at this. This is dramatic video. Shows a family pulling their dog from the rubble after their home collapsed.
Come on, buddy. Come on, Smokey. Come on. Come on.
What a good boy. What a good boy. He's okay.
Meanwhile,
He's
the
okay.
Waffle House in Fultondale is helping feed those.
So I started watching a movie called The Lobster the other day. It was on the Showtime. I couldn't finish. They hurt a dog. During the movie, a dog gets hurt. Turn it off right then. Not going to watch it. That's just not the way it's going to work. This is morning. Good morning, Joe. Let's see. Let's play this. This is from Ruth Ann.
Didn't, though, know about these specific posts. We knew who she...
Okay, so this is 6 minutes and 45 seconds long. Man, I'm going to take a look at this. I'm gonna watch that later, maybe. Thank you, Ruth Ann. That's too long for right now. What else did you send? Oh, yeah. I posted this as well. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. A few weeks after the Parkland shootings, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene harassing David Hogg, a child at the time. Hold on, I'll bring it over here and let's watch this. This is disgusting. Well, you know what? I'm not going to say. It might not be disgusting to you. Let's watch.
Yeah. David, why are you supporting the red flag laws?
This is Marjorie Taylor Greene here. She's the QAnon congresswoman. And up ahead of her, that's David Hogg, who is a survivor of the Parkland shooting. Lost many friends in the Parkland shootings.
If Scott Peterson, the resource officer at Parkland, had done his job, then Nicholas Cruz wouldn't have killed anybody in your high school, or at least protected them. Why are you supporting red flag gun laws that attack our Second Amendment rights? And why are you using kids as a barrier? Do you not know how to defend your stance? Look, I'm an American citizen. I'm a gun owner. I have a concealed carry permit. I carry a gun for protection for myself, and you are using your lobby and the money behind it and the kids to try to take away my Second Amendment rights. You don't have anything to say for yourself? You can't defend your stance? How did you get over 30 appointments with senators? How'd you do that? How did you get major press coverage on this issue? And how did you get kids? Why do you use kids? Why kids? You know, if school...
Why do you use kids when you're talking about school shooting? Why do that? Why would you use kids as a barricade? Why? Why, kid?
If school zones...
This is as high as the volume goes. I'm sorry. I've pumped it up all the way, and that's... you can watch this on my Twitter page as well.
We're protected with security guards with guns. There would be no mass shootings at schools. Do you know that? The best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is with a good guy with a gun.
The best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
You're attacking our Second Amendment. And you have nothing to say. No words. So I'm walking. He's got nothing to say. Sad. He has nothing to say because there really isn't anything to say, you guys. He has nothing to say because he's paid to do this. He has the walkaway march. He's got the women's march, and they're funding.
David Hogg was sitting in class one day going, "Man, I wish somebody would come in here and shoot the place up and kill a bunch of us. Then I'm going to make some bank." That's in her mind what happened.
all of this. Everytown Gun USA, they're funding all this stuff, okay? That was David Hogue right there. David, we saw him inside the Senate building. He had 30 appointments where he ran around and got to talk to senators. I got to talk to none.
Oh, you didn't get to talk to any senators? Crazy blonde lady with the QAnon?
He had media coverage all over the place. I had zero.
Oh, well, that's too bad. You should make a video.
Guess what? I'm a gun owner. I'm an American citizen.
Yeah.
And I have nothing but this guy with his George Soros funding and his major
Yeah, that you have nothing with your coach purse. Okay.
liberal funding has got everything. I want you to
Well, maybe you should be liberal. If it's all about making money for you, you should become a liberal. Problem solved. You're welcome.
think about that. That's where we are. And
Where?
he's a coward. He can't say one word because he can't defend.
He's a coward. The guy who goes in front of Congress and testifies about his friends being shot. Coward. The 18-year-old. Might have been 17 at the time. I don't even know.
His stand.
Yeah. So there's a new movie. There's a new movie about the gun movement, specifically about the Parkland students and their efforts to go around the country and talk to people about guns. And I haven't seen it. Kevinly Daughter says it is wonderful. So maybe we'll check that out at some point. Yeah, no, it's the whole story. It's a long one. Let's wrap things up, guys. Good morning to everybody. It's been over an hour now, so it's time to wrap this up. You've been watching Facts and Friends. I am your Kevinly Father, Kevin Williams. If you'd like to help out this broadcast, and many of you already do, you can do so by going to paypal.me/KevinlyDad, Venmo Kevin Williams -- You can see it right there. I don't know what it is. I can't read it. Or you can go to KevinlyFather.com and become a patron. That would be awesome. And then on a monthly basis, you give me $1 or $5 or $20 or $50 or $500 or $28,000 if you're George Soros. Still waiting on my George Soros check. That's it for this, guys. This is what we do. This is Facts and Friends. Some of it is facts and some of it is friends. You guys are the friends. And if you're watching at home and you're on the chat room, thank you for watching. And if you're watching this delayed, thank you for watching. We'll do this again later on mornings that I can do it. And later on today, we'll probably watch the president or whatever. Just depends on what the day brings. You guys all have a safe and wonderful day. We will see you later on the... It's not the live stream anymore. Facts and Friends.
Kevin, thanks for that.